Okay, we're good. It's recording.
All right. Awesome. We'll go ahead and get started. So again, thank you all so much for joining us tonight for the first RA info session of this next recruitment year for RAs. We're just really happy to see such an awesome turnout. So thank you all for being here. We want to start off just with some quick introductions so you know who we are. There's both Res Life professional staff here on this call, and then also some of our awesome RAs are here too. So I'll go ahead and start us off. My name is Ashley Hankis. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. I'm in my second year here at Xavier, and I serve as the apartments director. So I work predominantly with upperclassmen on campus. We have 8 different buildings that make up the apartments community. And yeah, that's a little about me. So I'll turn it over to Kirby.
Yeah, so hello everyone, my name is Kirby Bell. I am the Coleman Hall director. I have been here at Xavier for 3 years now, and so I use she, her, and hers pronouns. Coleman is one of the taller buildings on campus, and so we're pretty easy to see. But yeah, so just wanted to let you all know. And now we can go to the RAs. Jacob, you're first on my screen, so do you want to go first?
Oh boy, so exciting. Hi, my name is Jacob Lyons. I am a first year, this is my first year being an RA, and I serve with Ashley in the apartments. I'm in the village, and it's so great. I've been looking through all of you, and I see quite a few village people here, and so it's great to see all of you.
Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm the SRA of Coleman. This is my second year being an RA, and I'm excited to get to know all of you.
Emma Sanavia's computer died, so I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully she'll be able to jump back in. But Emma Sanavia is a first year RA in Coleman. If she's able to jump back in, we will have her introduce herself.
Perfect. Sounds good. So a little bit about what we will be going over tonight in terms of the agenda. So we hope that you all will get to know us just a little bit better, and hopefully will be some familiar faces from the department. We also hope that you learn a lot more about the RA position and about the selection process. So we're going to walk you through from start to finish about what you need to do to apply for this awesome leadership opportunity on campus. We also will talk briefly about the different needs of our residential communities. So thinking about first year buildings, upperclassmen communities, apartment style, and what the differences are between all of those. And then we will give you a chance to ask us any questions that you might have, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all of those for you.
So we want to talk a little bit about our team. So this is what our team is made up of. So we have one senior director. Her name is Lori Lambert. She is phenomenal. If you ever see emails from her, you should definitely read them because she is great, and they also contain a lot of important information. We then have a director, an assistant director, and one associate director, then 3 assistant directors. So all people that work in our office, you'll see their names in different capacities. We have one administrative assistant who is the face of our office, 6 hall directors. So Ashley and I are both hall directors, and there are 4 more of us outside of this. And then we have 65 RAs, which is a huge number. And so that little box in the corner, which says 83%, so 83% of our staff is made up with you all, with the RAs. And so the RAs are such a huge and vital part of our department because of how much you all help us, how much fun we have with you all, but also just the sheer number of you too.
Cool. So we wanted to talk about the role of an RA, and as you all can see here on this slide, there isn't one singular role of an RA. Actually, RAs play lots of different roles on our team, and starting off is community builder. So we rely on our RAs to really get to know residents and other students who live within our community. So finding out what people are interested in, what they like to do, and helping to kind of bridge connections between them with other residents within their building helps to foster that sense of community. So RAs are a really vital component for that sense of home and sense of community within our on-campus population. RAs are also a resource. So we spend a lot of time during training helping introduce different staff members from the Division of Student Affairs, and then outside of that too, but introducing these campus partners to our RA staff and really helping the RAs to understand what resources and offices are available around campus to support students. And then the goal is that the RAs then, in building those connections with residents, can find out exactly what residents, what their needs are, and then refer them to these various resources. So RAs serve in that capacity, but also they just have a lot of knowledge themselves. The RAs on this call will probably also be able to share that this is a highly administrative role too. So we expect our RAs to turn in things on time. There's some paperwork components, but a lot of different processes that our office conducts. So thinking about the roommate agreement process that you all went through, or health and safety inspections, things like that, the RAs are really a key part in making sure that those processes happen for our office every year. They're also a role model, so we expect our RAs to obviously abide by the student code of conduct, just like any student, but they serve as positive role models and leaders within our on-campus population. They also put on programs. There's lots of fun events, whether those are in person, virtual, or a hybrid approach to that. RAs like to do fun activities, and that again just helps to foster community within the residence halls. RAs also serve as a policy enforcer. So you all have probably observed that RAs serve on duty. There are RAs on duty every night to make sure that the buildings are running smoothly and that everyone is safe. So there is a policy enforcement component to the RA position. They also serve as student advocates. So, you know, kind of going along with being a resource, but really understanding what students are going through and helping them to work through and navigate problems as well. And then they're also a member of a student staff team. So each of the 6 communities is made up of a staff of RAs, and they serve as part of a team. So we really, we foster that kind of team mentality and build strong relationships amongst each individual staff. So lots of different roles associated with the RA position.
So then, as Ashley was talking about all of the roles that are involved, there's also some different expectations. And so we just wanted to go over some of the general expectations. As you move further into the process, you will have these all written down in a bunch of different ways. So know that this is not the only time you will see this. One of the first ones is going on a duty route. So part of being an RA is being on duty. And so that means sitting at a desk, potentially in different areas, going on rounds of buildings or areas. We also, as one of the parts of the RA position, is professional development. And so what that means is that we have different professional development sessions that happen, and we really focus as hall directors on your professional development as students, which is super important to us. You help us with the opening and closing of the residence halls and the apartments. That's one of the most vital roles from my role as a hall director, because we could not do this without you. And you are so helpful in that process. You also will go through spring, summer, and winter training to make sure that you're prepared for the position, you know what's coming up, and so that you can take this position to your next role and to what you want to do after this. You will have to go through an approval process for outside employment. And so we just want to know what is happening. That does not mean that you're going to get not approved. Our director, or my supervisor, Marcy Walton, is the one who goes through and does this. She has never not approved someone. So this is not is this a yes or a no? This is just so that we know what's happening. The RA position is a year-long commitment, and that starts from the moment you sign your contract. And so we are very clear and upfront with that, and you will know what that means and what that entails as well. Also, one of the things that we hope you all see in your RAs is maintaining visibility within your area. That's a huge part of this position, is to be a resource, and to be a resource, you have to be present, or they have to know how to get in contact with you. As Ashley said earlier, you are a huge liaison with the officer residence life and students, staff, other people on campus, pretty much everyone. Liaison is a phenomenal word within the RA position, because that is you. Community building, again, is huge. That's one of your major parts of your role, is community building in your area or your floor. And then having and like holding yourself within a professional conduct and attitude. So holding the office in a positive light and holding yourself in a positive light, because that's great skills to learn moving forward. Programming is a huge piece of the job. I think that's a pretty common piece of the RE position that most people know, but planning really fun programs for your halls, for your floors, for your areas, whatever that looks like. Policy enforcement, as we had said earlier, that is part of the RE job. Definitely the least favorite part, but a part nonetheless. Administrative duties, this role does have a lot of paperwork. You learn very well how to be very administratively focused and what your time management strategy is. You will learn that, I promise. And then you will also go through staff meetings and one-on-one meetings with your supervisor. And so staff meetings are where your entire staff is together. A one-on-one would be you and your supervisor. All are focused on professional development, what you need to know, and how we best move forward.
Perfect. So as you all know, this year is unlike any other, largely due to COVID. And because of that, the RA position has to adapt and change too. So a couple things we wanted to highlight for you that are a bit different because of COVID. So one thing is training for the RA position. So this year, our fall training took place in kind of a hybrid approach. So we had some online modules that RAs did before they got to campus. And then we also had part of training as a masked, socially distant, and in-person training. So there are some sessions that just work better in an in-person format, but we do a combination of approaches to keep everybody safe. So as you know, as we learn more about COVID, as cases go up or down or whatever it might be, I think a general takeaway from this slide is just knowing that we expect RAs to be adaptable because we really don't have a choice. So that is definitely a component that we're looking for from candidates. And then also in terms of programming, so RAs have had to be really creative with their programming approaches this year. So again, doing hybrid, virtual or in-person programming, and doing that depending on what the COVID environment is at the time. RAs also have to be creative in how they engage and build relationships with residents this year in particular, but I would imagine this will be true moving forward too. But you know, with COVID and comfortability, it can be difficult when students close their door more often. There's less of an open door kind of environment. And so how do you go about building relationships with people behind a closed door? So something to think about. And then again, follow up on departmental processes. So before I mentioned health and safety inspections and then the roommate agreement process, the RAs were really vital in these processes and following up with residents. As you all know, this was a lot more autonomous this year, and us trusting that you all would do it as residents and do it on time. And the RAs have to help with those follow-ups for students who didn't comply with that. So we rely on the RAs heavily for these different processes. And then, yeah, last bullet here. So again, being adaptable, being willing to change and kind of pivot as COVID changes. Something this year that we've talked about a lot is we are, what's the phrase, Kirby? We're flying the plane as we build it. Yeah. Right. So it's like, okay, we don't exactly know what this is going to look like, but we're gonna adjust and we're gonna figure it out together. So again, with that, like that team approach, we work as a team and we figure it out as we go.
So we've talked a lot about what the RA position is. Now we want to talk about what you need. So for academics, we ask that all students have a 2.5 GPA semester and cumulative at the time of application and employment. We understand that this has been a very different semester than ever beforehand, or that life happens. So if you don't have a 2.5, you can still apply. There's a part of the application where you can talk to us about why you don't have that and what your plans are moving forward to get that and balance it with the RE position. So know that if you don't have a 2.5 semester cumulative right now, that does not bar you from applying whatsoever, but that is our job standard. And so we do like to say that. We ask that students are sophomore status by the start of your employment. So that does not mean you have to have lived on campus beforehand. That just means you need to be a sophomore. And then again, residential and commuter students are encouraged to apply. I have had many commuter students who are RAs who have never lived on campus before, who have been so successful. So that does not deter you at all, and we hope that that does not deter you from the position. But you must be a student at Xavier for at least one full semester by the start of your employment. That is a huge thing. The RA position knows a lot of Xavier specific information, and so if you don't have that background, it can just be a little bit of a more challenging start. So we do ask for that one semester. And then again, with the GPA part, sorry.
Nope, you're good.
We just asked that you write a supplemental essay. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, we're good.
Perfect. Cool. In terms of conduct, so if you are on university or residence life probation, you are not eligible to apply for the RA position. So that's an important thing to know. Again, university or residence life probation, you're not eligible to apply. However, if you have gone through the conduct process before, and if you have been found responsible for violating something within our student code, that doesn't exclude you from the process. So even if you were found responsible, you are going to be prompted within the application to kind of explain that situation, to talk about what you learned from it, and then why you should be able to continue within the process of applying to be an RA if you've gone through that. So if you've gone through the student conduct process, you do need to answer that question. We do conduct checks and grade checks as part of the process. So we need you to answer that if you've gone through the process. And then the selection committee reviews your entire file. So we're looking at your answers to those questions, and we take that into consideration when we're making decisions about hiring.
So time commitment. If you foresee yourself being engaged in a really high time commitment aspect of you being a student, so student teaching, a full-time internship, nursing clinicals, multiple theater performances, or any other commitment that would require you being away from your community for several hours a day on a regular basis. So if it's just like a one-time thing, not a problem. Regular, like weekly basis is what we're looking for. You'll be prompted to talk about this in your application. This is by no means barring you from the RE position, but we do want to know how you're planning on balancing these things, just because it can be hard. And so we want to make sure that you're thinking ahead about what's happening and that you've thought about these things, you maybe have talked to other people about it, and that you're willing to work on this through the RE position. Again, the selection committee will take everything into consideration. Just like Ashley said, we'll take your entire file, and then we will move forward through the process.
Cool. There's Jordan, look. Cool. So in terms of remuneration and benefits, so obviously a key benefit to being an RA is that you get an on-campus room free of charge. So that is obviously a really high value. It costs a lot of money to live on campus. So that's definitely a great advantage to being an RA. We also provide RAs with a silver meal plan. So that's valued at almost $3,000 per semester. And then there's an additional $200 in dining dollars that's provided. There's also professional and personal development opportunities. So our department will put on some professional development experiences for RAs. And then a lot of that personal development will come from your one-on-ones with your supervisor, with that time that you spend on your team. So it's a lot of great growth and leadership opportunity here too. It's a rewarding experience. So you form lots of networks like we talked about before. Getting to know different partners on campus is huge. You're viewed as a leader to so many people on campus, which is really awesome. But you also form really great relationships with residents. And I think by and large, that's what RAs would say is the best part of their experience, is that they really do get to build some strong connections with other students on campus. You're involved in training and development of staff and residents, and then you obviously get to impact the direction of our office moving forward. As Kirby mentioned, making up that large 83% of our department, we really value your voice, and we rely on you all a lot for guidance on how we move forward and make things better for students living on campus. So lots of really great benefits from being an RA.
So as part of our lovely info session, we wanted to do a little fun activity where we would love to know where you all are from. So in the chat function, if you all will tell us, so you could be from Brockman, Fenwick, the apartments, Coleman, Hussman, or you could be a great commuter. So if you could let us know in the chat function where you're from, this is just a fun, like very informal, helpful for us to know. I see a lot of Hussman and Coleman, Brockman.
So many.
Village, I love it. The apartments, yes. Look at the apartments.
Awesome.
Yes, we're doing so great. Look at you all go. This is so exciting. See lots of Fenwick. Beautiful. Well,
all over the place.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And we really do want you to know that you can be from anywhere on campus or off and be very successful in this position. And so it's just fun for us to know where you're from, but also to let you all know that our RAs come from all over. I have an RA on my staff who's a commuter who was doing phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere you come from, you're welcome here.
Yes. Cool. Okay, so we wanted to show you a little breakdown of what our communities are. So if you look at these figures, you can see we have 4 first-year buildings. So Brockman, Hussman, Coleman, and Bangor. And then our upperclassmen live predominantly in Fenwick, the apartments, and then top floors in Coleman and Bangor most years, depending on our occupancy and numbers. But if you add up the number of residents who live on campus, you'll see that almost half of them live in upper class buildings and half of them live in first year buildings. So it's important for you all to understand that too, is that half of the RAs who are selected for the position will be working with upperclassmen, which is exciting, but it's a different environment than a first year building. And we'll talk about why that might be too.
Yes, so, and going off of what Ashley just said, and to get you ready for the application, we wanted to go through this thought exercise. So this is not something you'll have to say out loud. If you want to write it down, great. If you don't, also great, does not matter. But we wanted to just ask you some questions to kind of get you in the thought process of what it's like to be an RA. So the first idea is, what are the needs of students in first year buildings? So a student who is brand new to Xavier, excited to come on campus, what do their needs look like? And then where you all come in, the RA role. How could you help a first year student? What would it be like to program for a first year student? Or to make fun things for first year students? Because a lot of times the RAs get to make really fun things for students. And overall, how could you be the best RA to a first year student? And then going into, what are the needs of our upperclassmen students who live in upperclassmen buildings? Do those differ from a first year student? Are they the same? What would this look like if they were a transfer student? And then again, what does the RA role look like interacting with upperclassmen buildings? And then lastly, a very unique style is, what are the needs of students in the apartments? They're all across campus. They're in 8 different buildings. So that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be in charge of 8 different buildings, but what does that look like? What do our students need in the apartments? Versus what do they want in the apartments? Because those may be different. And then what does the RA role look like in such an amazing space like the apartments? So we wanted to do this thought exercise just to kind of get you in the mindset of thinking about what the RA role means. Part of the application will be asking some of these questions. So this is not saying that you have to start the application tonight by any means, but we just wanted to get you in that mindset to start thinking about it.
Perfect. Okay, so we've said it a lot. Application. What do we mean by that? So the RA position is included within the One app. So if you all are not familiar with that, Xavier has something called the One app. It's the student leadership application, and I believe there are 17 different student leader positions that are housed under the One app. So you can apply to multiple different leadership opportunities on one application. So this is great because it saves you a whole heck of a lot of time, especially if you're interested in other things too. So the One app is live. It's available now. So you're able to start working on your application if you would like. Just want to peek at it, you're welcome to do that. It is something that you can save and come back to, so you don't have to do it all in one shot. So I would encourage you to take a look at it just to kind of get familiar. But you will use your Xavier login info in order to log in to access the application. And no worries, we'll send you a link to it so you have it after this. What else? So there's demographic information that you'll fill out, and then there's also some extended response kind of essay-like questions within the application as well. We also will be providing a video overview of the One app coming very soon. So we'll do kind of a video walkthrough to hopefully answer any questions about the application that you might have, if you do have any.
Then another part of the application is a reference. So we ask that everyone have at least one reference. So what you will do is you will send a link to your references. Again, we will provide the link, so no worries. We require one reference. A second is highly recommended, but you cannot have more than 2 references. So what is a reference? What are we asking for? So a reference must be someone from Xavier or a previous employer. They cannot be a family member or a friend. We know that your best friends love you. They are not the best reference. We are asking for a Xavier person or a previous employer. So some examples of these could be student leaders. So your RAs could be great references, your Manresa leaders, a smooth transitions leader, executive board of a student org, an athletic team captain, an academic tutor, a professor, success coach, any one of those things. Or again, a previous employer. You will input all of their information and then they will submit it electronically. So they will do everything. It's a super easy form, not hard, but we ask that you send them the link to the form so that they can fill it out. Submissions are due on Wednesday, January 27th at noon. That is the same deadline as the RA application, just to make it easy. So note, this is something that's super important. It is your responsibility to follow up with your reference to ensure that they have completed the form. If they fail to complete the form by the deadline, you will not move forward with your candidacy. Again, you need to have at least one reference, and we can help you with this. It's, again, a super simple form. You will just send them the link to.
Cool. Okay, something we're really excited about this year is we are having all of our applicants complete the MBTI personality assessment. So this is a quick personality test, if you will, that helps us to get a good sense of who you are and what your personality type is. So you'll be provided with a 4-letter code, which we will unpack later, but you'll be provided with a 4-letter code. And we need every applicant to take this assessment, but we want to stress, and it's important for you all to know, that we do not utilize the results of this assessment in making hiring decisions. What it will be used for is it will help our professional staff team to build RA staffs moving forward. So we want a lot of different personality types on each team because that just makes teams run well together if we have a good mix of folks on each one. So we will use the results to help us build teams, but it is again, not utilized in terms of who's hired and who's not. But you are going to be expected to do this. Again, we'll send you this link, so don't stress about writing this down. We will send it all to you, but it will be included as part of the application process.
So another part of our lovely application process is called a personal expression. So it's essentially a digital introduction of yourself to your residents for next year. This is obviously hypothetical because you don't currently have any residents, but the goal is to introduce yourself, and it's also to introduce yourself to us too. So we have a ton of examples coming soon, but some examples could be an introductory email, a note you would put on your doors of your residents, a bulletin board, an invitation to your first program, a newsletter, an online quiz, or a scavenger hunt. There are literally so many things that you could do. What your creation needs to answer are 3 questions. What is important to you? What is important for your students to know about you? And how can you convey this in a creative way? So that's the whole idea of this. So we're going to go through and we're going to show you some examples. So this is from Riley Beausoleil. She's currently a lovely RA in Brockman, but her last name literally means beautiful sun. So hello, sunshines. Very appropriate. Talked about what she loves, favorite quote. She's a nursing major and just pretty and fun, but it can also be made on a computer or in person like Riley's is. Here is another example. This is Nye Dixon. She was an RA in the apartments 2 years ago now, last year? Last year. Time flies. It's great. And so these are just a bunch of really important pictures to her and kind of the puzzle pieces of who she was as a person. This is Mallory Williams. She was an RA in Hussman last year. So she talks about where she's from, that she loves music. That's her Instagram because she's very much graphic design and very focused on her aesthetic, and I love it. Her iPhone would be part of it. Kind of talks about where she is in the photographs that she loves to take. And then here, lovely, lovely Joe Dearman. So she talked about Cup of Joe. Welcome to Xavier. Her name is Joe Dearman. Her favorite show is The Office. All of her favorite things on the side, including her family. So a fun, funny way to introduce herself and just to connect with residents. Everyone loves The Office. I do. Here is Zane. Zane was an RA in Bangor last year, and so he is from New Zealand. So he talks about being from New Zealand and loving rugby. That's some of his friends and just pretty much all of the things that he loves. And he loves Xavier. So obviously had to wear a Xavier shirt. And then this is Cyan. She's a wonderful RA in the apartments. Showed a lot of pictures about who she was, talked about the basics, so what she likes, what she doesn't like, what her background is, and then her fun fact was she constantly changes her hair, but very aesthetically and very much, if you know Cyan, this is the perfect picture of Cyan. Yeah. And then this is actually from Rose Hofstetter. She's an RA in Coleman. This is her introductory email to her floor. And so she talked about a lot of different important information, some goals. This one is a lot more information heavy. And if you're like, I'm not like super creative, but like I can put information on a page, we got you. You can 100% do that. And that's never a problem. And then this is another example. So this is Allie Hosfeld. She's an RA in Fenwick, who's also phenomenal. And so this was a letter that she wrote to her floor, talked about who she was, what she likes, what she's hoping for this year, and essentially how you can connect to her. And then last but not least, this is a great example from Fenwick. This was an email that went out to all of Fenwick, actually, that Becky Cron made. So talking about the Fenwick team, masking up, the quote of the month, that's Anna's cat, and then Grace's dog, who are both, Anna is the hall director of Fenwick, Grace is an RA, and then showed the RA team from Fenwick. So great introduction and just some fun and different ways to show who you are, and a great way to do this without always having to be physically present, which can be hard this year.
Cool. All right, so once the application is submitted and all those different components that we just talked about are complete, you all will go through the interview process. So we have our candidates go through 2 30-minute individual interviews. So your individual interviews, again, just 30 minutes, but the reason why we have you do 2 is because this allows you some time and space where you can just regroup in between interviews. You are the one who will schedule these. So some candidates like to schedule them back to back and just knock it out, get it over with. Others might schedule it days apart, so they can reflect on their first one and think about what they want to say and how they want to move forward in their second. But essentially, you'll be interviewed by different professional staff and RA staff in this process. So this allows us, more of us, to get to see you and get to see you shine in this kind of environment. So that's why we give you the chance to go through two. So once you apply for the position, you clear your GPA check, you clear the conduct check, we will send you an electronic sign up for your interviews. You're going to need to sign up for both. So make sure that you sign up for 2 individual interviews. If you don't do that, you'll be removed from the process. So just keep that in mind. We need you to sign up for both. And then all interviews this year are going to be conducted on Zoom. So we want to keep you all safe. We know this is a really weird year. So we will do Zoom interviews. Another thing I want to highlight here is that we do not have any expectation for you all to show up in professional dress or something along those lines, or whatever professional dress is. But we don't expect you to do that for interviews. So we want you to be your full authentic self. We want you to be comfortable and show us who you are. So if your outfit is cramping your style during your interview, that's not good, right? We don't want that. So just show up as you are, be comfortable. We just want to get to know you.
And then another part of getting to know you is we call them candidate roundtables. So the goal is you get to have a conversation with us, and it's a more personal conversation. It's less interview-like, and we'll have some different topics to talk about. So the candidate roundtables will be Saturday, January 30th. You must attend either a morning or an afternoon session. Signups for those will also go out at the same time or around the same time as the individual interviews. So that is not something you need to worry about now. Some of you may have something that's super important on that day that's already been planned. That's okay. We will figure it out, so don't worry. We will work with you, so not a problem. Just want to ease that fear right now. But the idea is that it's going to be small group discussions with hall directors and current RAs to examine components of the RA position. And really the point of it is to allow us to get to know you all better, because that's a big part of this process, is we want to know who you are as people. So there will be a portion of the RA selection process that will be factored into the candidate selection. That's going to be part of this. But the goal is that we can have a less formal conversation and more just to get to know you and what you think of different parts of the RA position.
Cool. All right, we threw a lot of dates at you. So this kind of sums it up on one slide. So as a reminder, the one app is open now, but it will close on January 27th. So you all have time. And if you want to chill out a little over break, please do. But if you want to just knock it out and get it done, we encourage you to do that. Utilizing the break can be super helpful because you all know once classes start, y'all are busy. So keep that in mind. You can start working on it now if you would like to. The candidate roundtables that Kirby just mentioned are January 30th. And again, you must attend either the morning or the afternoon session. Individual interviews come after that. So they will take place February 2nd through the 4th, and then again, the 10th through the 12th. Like I mentioned before, you can schedule them back to back, just knock it out in 1 hour of your time, or you can do it days apart, whatever makes most sense to you. So you are notified February 26th. Kind of the magic day. Everyone wants to know when they'll know. So February 26th is when you will find out if you've been selected for the RA position for next year. And it's an exciting day. So that's kind of the magic day there. And then anyone who's selected for the position will need to participate in the spring training day. This is like a half day training experience, so it's not a huge time commitment, but it's required. So Saturday, March 13th is spring training. And then the dates for summer training have been set, which is like, it's so hard to think that far in advance, but there they are. So August 6th through August 22nd of 2021. So that is our timeline.
And then our final slide before we get to the lovely question and answers is how to connect with us. So the first part is a lot of you, if you live on campus, you have staff in your halls and you also have a hall director. So if you have questions, you can ask the RAs, you can also ask your hall director. There will be lots of information coming out soon. And I promise you that when you get back to campus, you will not be able to walk pretty much anywhere without seeing something about the One app. So it will be all around, I promise. Also, go to your RAs programs. That is a great way to get connected to the RAs and a great way to ask them questions. So I would highly encourage program attendance. But if you're like, I really just want like information, like over break when you're not in the halls, we also have got you covered. Our website, very easy, xavier.edu/reslife. You will find all the information there. It's also on the bottom of pretty much all of our email signatures. So any email you've ever gotten from us, it's there. And then on social media, if you type in Xavier Res Life, you will find us. We are very easy to find. We have a Twitter, an Instagram, and a Facebook. Instagram and Facebook are going to be where we post the most. We will also post on Twitter. The Instagram is normally, I would say, where we focus the most. A lot of time, Facebook is more for parents, honestly, because a lot of parents follow our Facebook page more than our students. We found that our Instagram is where our students normally hang out. So we will post a lot of information there as well. And then you will also get a lot of emails from us.
Yes. So lots of information coming from lots of places. I also will plug each of the halls or areas has their own Instagram accounts too. So go to the Xavier Res Life page. We're mentioned on different posts, but follow your own page and see what events and happenings are happening in your own community. Okay, cool. That takes us to our Q&A time. So we want to